Hello and welcome back to Football Talk with myself, Dave, and Josh. Are you there?
I am here loud and clear, sitting many miles away, but I can hear you loud and clear.
Excellent. Technology. Technology is a wonderful, wonderful thing. It allows us to talk from across the globe, which is incredible, actually, when you think about it.
Yeah.
Because I imagine if you just shouted really loudly, I wouldn't be able to hear you. Probably wouldn't be able to
No, it'd be a faint noise, but really difficult conversation overall, I thought.
Yeah, exactly.
How would we do wiki
exactly.
files? It wouldn't happen. No.
It just would not work. But we've got to crack on, Josh, because we've got a very jam-packed schedule on today's episode. There's a lot to talk about, loads in the news, loads of games to review. I'm doing the quiz today, ladies and gentlemen, so be prepared for things that are probably falsely inaccurate.
Oh God, how are we ever going to get a right answer?
I have a habit of getting stats completely wrong, but no, this one is verified and checked, and I'm happy with it. So,
okay,
yes,
well, yeah. Excellent.
Week in football, Josh. That's where we always start. Very briefly, anything you want to talk about? Week in football?
I'll do a little personal one first and foremost. On Tuesday night, I went to watch an evening with. It was a Spurs Legends evening in Folkestone at East Liverpool, and it was Aussie dealers at Ledley King, and kind of compared by Graham Roberts, who's also an ex-Spurs pro. So that was quite interesting. Couple of hours. They first hour was them kind of doing their own Q&A, like kind of talking through their careers, and then second half opened up to people's Q&A, like the audience Q&A. So that was really interesting. Although it did turn into a bit of a fans kind of AGM, like, oh, our club doesn't spend any money, our stadium's not ready, what are we going to do? So that got a little bit tedious in the end, but it was quite enjoyable overall.
Did you ask a question?
Ledley King is one of my favourite players. I didn't ask. I had one question lined up, but I thought it was a little bit too political, and I didn't.
Was it about Sol Campbell and his political nature?
No, it was about a sending off John Terry's had against us in 2006, and I think it was due to something he may have said, which may be deemed which Didier Zakora, Pascal Chimbonda and Benoit Assou-Ekotto all reacted badly to it. Those three players got something in common, but it never came out in the public eye. I wanted if Ledley knew, could enlighten me what happened, but I thought he's never going to answer anything.
He'd never.
I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. He'd probably think, who's the knobhead that's trying to stir some racial
yeah,
things
get
happening
out.
about Exactly. Yeah. So, okay, that sounds quite interesting though. I've never been to any of those sort of chats. So
no, nor I. That was my first. So I'll definitely look out for more in future, just to be able to see and hear. Not even just because you imagine 100%, 99% of the people in there were Spurs fans. So, but I'd be interested if anything came up with any other legends coming. That'd be enjoyable.
Nice, excellent. Me personally, I've had since last week, what have I done? I had a game today, football match today, draw 3-3. We were 3-1 up. It was pretty disappointing, but I did get vote man of the match, which is a centre back, and conceding 3 goals shows that none of them were my fault.
Absolutely.
I did have you seen, Phil Babb when he did the slide tackle into the post?
Yeah, into his, yep.
And into his genitalia area. Yeah.
His gentleman's agreement,
I nearly had one of those moments, but I managed to stop the ball going in and then bring my leg around to miss the post.
Well done, Dave.
Yeah, it was 3-2 at the time, and everyone was like, yeah, get in. It's like the 88th minute, and then we conceded from the corner because someone didn't mark up one of their players. So I was really annoyed, and I've told that player that they have to buy me a drink. So
yeah.
But yeah,
that's fair dues.
Other than that, we finished our season today, the last game of the season. We finished 3rd, so we go into a really weird playoff. I don't know. I think it's the German league that does something similar, where there's 2 teams from the top division that get automatically relegated, and 2 teams from the next division go up. But then the team that finishes 3rd,
in the third ones,
the team that finishes 3rd and the 3rd bottom play off in a relegation promotion playoff to see who stays in the top division, and we're going to be in one of them, we think. So yeah, there's a little bit more to play for, and then a cup final before Christmas. So.
Oh my goodness! Nice. It'll go before Christmas then. Well, keep us posted.
Yeah. I will. So, all right, then we'll move quickly on to the news. So, what's in the news, Josh? What's caught your eye?
So, last time we spoke, El Clasico was set to happen, and it did happen in an emphatic way. So it was 5-1 to Barcelona. But having watched the match, it could have gone either way. It just kind of Real Madrid had plenty of chances coming back into the second half, but. It seems a lot worse than it really was. But then that ended in with Lopetegui getting sacked.
Yes.
So unsurprising, we called it. But my news this week is I saw who the two odds-on favourites were.
Okay.
And it is. Do you have any idea? Do you want to take a stab who they are? Not odds-on favourites, but the top two favourites. Sorry.
Jose Mourinho. I'm pretty sure Perez wants him back. Is he not in the top 2 though?
Yeah, he's not in the top 2. He's in the top 10. Yeah.
Okay. No, I don't know top 2.
So this is one's an ex-player, left-footed, kind of versatile, kind of left-footed player, Santiago Solari.
Oh yeah.
And the other one is Roberto Martinez.
Roberto Martinez. I did read that, and I thought, how is he in the top 2?
I don't know.
I mean, technically, his CV after. It does read pretty impressive with Belgium. 3rd place in the World Cup, and he's got Belgium to the number 1 ranked team in the world. But surely you just have to see
if
what
you look at it like that, it seems impressive.
Yeah, you just look at what he's done at previous clubs and think, nah. I mean, that's...
But my choice would be Arsene Wenger. I'd love to see Arsene Wenger get that job.
I said that as well. I said that to the guys at work. I was like, I'd love to see Arsene Wenger get that job and see how he deals with egos, because he's never... He was at Arsenal for so long, wasn't he, that he never really had to deal with egos he's inherited. I mean, he did well.
No, he'd already earned the respect, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. The players he brought in knew what his methods were about and knew what he was about. So it'd be interesting to see how people like Sergio Ramos and Varane and people like that who are used to... Well, maybe not so much Varane, but Sergio Ramos is used to sort of getting his way and... Yeah, he's got a big ego, is what I'm trying to say. And it'll be interesting to see
we've
how
got some
Wenger
massive
would deal
players.
with
Got your Tony Krooses of that world,
Yeah. So,
all right. Well, so again, stay tuned. This week, some 2 players got sentenced to some jail time. Did you see that?
I saw one of them. Was it the Italian World Cup winner?
Yes, Vincenzo Iaquinta.
That's it, Iaquinta, yeah. I saw that it was like mafia linked or something, wasn't it? To his dad?
Yeah. Firearms offences. He passed some guns on to his dad, who, I don't know. But you got your first name Vincenzo. I mean, that really reeks of mafia. But 2 years he's been sentenced to.
Yeah, he won't do that, will he? He's going to get off without jail time.
I don't know. His dad's been sentenced to like 19 years, so it didn't see appeal or anything. But the other player has appealed his 50-day prison term. This was Nicholas Bentner for assaulting a taxi driver about 6 months ago. Yeah,
Lord Bentner going to jail.
Lord Bentner, yeah. I remember when he first came on the scene, he was on loan at Birmingham, and I was like, this player is going to be it. He is going to be fantastic. And
I don't think he went further away from it than he could have done, really. He was pretty shocking. So, yeah, interesting. Did you see, on my bit of news, did you see, just news from around the globe, did you see Wayne Rooney? Sort of summed up his sort of England career, what's happened to him with DC United. Playing really well, scoring loads of goals, get to the crucial moment, miss the penalty, out they go.
Oh no, I did not see that. Oh,
in the
my
playoffs,
goodness, Wayne.
So he played all that really good football, like voted for MVP for the whole league and stuff, like he's in the contention for it. Got DC United, dragged them from the bottom of the conference up, and then missed his penalty in the penalty shootout, and they lost.
He has not missed many penalties in his career, has he? He's a very good penalty taker.
He is a very good penalty taker. But yeah, I just thought that was a good... That one season at DC United sums up... You could argue sums up Wayne Rooney in the sense that for England especially, like he does it all in the qualifiers, and then when it gets to the big tournament, he's never really performed. But yeah, it's just a bit of it's a bit of a shame, because he did really well, hasn't he? He's done really well out in the MLS, and he's dragged DC United up. So who knows what will happen next season for him? But yeah, that was really the only main thing that caught my eye in the news. The main thing. Obviously,
well, the last one I had was the European Super League that was kind of leaked. Did you see that?
Oh yes. How did I forget that? I did see that, and it was it's had a bit of condemnation around the globe, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think we may touch this in a later pod when we've got more time. But I think Henry Winter summed it up perfectly. The journalist said a European Super League with no relegation for its 11 founding members would have no sporting integrity for a start, let alone the sheer greed and arrogance of the idea. That's a private members club, not a proper competition. No risk, no drama, no credibility. No thanks.
Yeah, my only counter argument would be NHL, NFL, NBA, MLS. They're all very, very successful, and they don't have promotional relegation.
Yes, but that is their core competition, isn't it? rather than this kind of secondary competition where
you're
people.
telling me that if this Super League got set up and the teams withdrew from their national, like the Premiership and Serie A and all of that, this wouldn't become the primary competition in the world. Of course,
You know what? I hadn't realised that you think they'd be what is withdrawing from league?
Yeah,
rather
that's
than
what they
withdrawing
said.
from Champions League.
Yeah, that's what they said in the things I read. It would be the withdrawal from the National League.
Well, that's even more bullshit then.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's
that
not
is
gonna
even
happen,
more.
So.
Yeah.
Awful. But what that did do, just while I moved it, because there is another bit of news linked to that, is that when that came out, it very much brushed under the carpet that Il Fermento, whatever his name is in charge of FIFA now, was in charge of FIFA, brushed aside the FFP claims from Man City and PSG, apparently.
Oh, the old financial doping, how they've had basically the Middle East just plough billions into... PSG, something like... 2-3 billion or something. It's awful.
Stupid, yeah. And he agreed to just give them a lower level of punishment rather than kicking them out of competitions and stuff because of their nature in the world football.
Well, it's just absurd. And what do you expect to happen? Like, FIFA have got to make money, and a large amount of it is going to be kind of with these European competitions, massive advertising revenues. If you take out two of the best teams, advertisers will pull out, and fans will go away, and it's just. Rod for your own back, really. If you're going to have these rules, implement them. If not, don't have them.
Exactly, that's how I see it. If you got them, then make sure that everybody sticks to them fairly across the board. If you're not going to do that, then just get rid of them. Kick the rules into touch for FFP and just be like, you know what? If Qatar want to give you billions and billions of pounds, then just bloody go for it because you're going to go for it anyway and find a way around it. Yeah. So, okay. Well, as I said, we have got a jam-packed schedule. So, if it's all right with you, Josh, I want to leave the news there, and I want to move onto our quiz Kamara for the day, which is going to come from myself.
All right, hit me.
There are 5 people who have done a treble of trophies. That treble is the Premier League, the World Cup, and the Champions League. Can you name the 5 players that have won all 3 trophies?
Oh my god, so Premier League, Champions League, World Cup.
Yep. There are 5 players that have done it. Do you want to have a stab now before we come back to it later?
I'll go for the first one sprung to mind is Thierry Henry.
Yes, that is correct. He won the Premier League with Arsenal, the Champions League with Barcelona, and the World Cup with France. So you have won. 4 people remaining.
Okay. I will leave it there and get back to you.
Yeah, remember to leave your answers in the comments below before the end of the show and see how well you get on if you know that quiz. And I love this quiz, Josh, because there's one player that you're going to go... Well, I was about to swear. There's one player that you'll go, sod off. No. But yeah.
What, that they've actually got that in their locker?
That they've got all 3 of them in their locker, yeah. So...
Okay.
But anyway, that is the Quiz Kamara. So there are 5 players that have won the Premier League, the Champions League and the World Cup in their career. And Josh so far has 1 with Thierry Henry. So there's 4 more to go. But let's move on to the Premier League preview, or review, I should say, because we're going to review Saturday's games. Where do you want to start, Josh?
We shall start with, the early kickoff, Dave. Not your neck of the woods, your team down on the south coast.
I couldn't be further away from my neck of the woods, mate.
No, it's not quite your neck of the woods, yeah.
Man United took a visit to Bournemouth and were incredibly lucky to be even at half-time. I think Bournemouth will be kicking themselves that they didn't score more goals. I haven't seen... I was going to say a more shambolic defensive display for a Man United team for quite some time, but there's been quite a few of them recently. I think, Bournemouth will be kicking themselves. Have you seen the highlights, or did you watch the game? Because I watched the game.
I have, I've seen all the highlights,
Over here, yeah. I mean, it was just Callum Wilson's goal is... It's a nice finish, but it's just calamity in it at the back. It's just awful.
It is, yeah.
Even Mourinho's come out himself in his press conference and said, at half time the score should have been 6-2 to Bournemouth. So incredibly lucky to go in at 1-1. Martial scoring another goal, which is great, showing that he's very, very talented, like we all know. Seems to be playing a bit more with a smile on his face now. He's getting a run in the team, but I don't know. There's still something really, really off about Man United. I mean, the pundits we have here in Singapore are pretty terrible, but they just keep harking back. Like it's just, at half time, the pundits are sort of like, well, it's not like the glory days of old, and then another pundit was just sort of like, well, yeah, but it hasn't been that for 4 years. So why is everyone expecting it to suddenly be?
That does annoy me. How it must annoy you more as a United fan. How it's constantly. Oh yeah, it's not United. We know. Yeah, it's not United. You've known for a good long time now.
Yeah.
Let's just draw the line there, because this is compared to the United for what is it now, 4 or 5 seasons. It's kind of in line,
Yeah,
isn't it?
exactly. Yeah, it's the new average sort of thing. It's the new baseline for the team, which is a shame. That is an annoyance. What this game did show, though, is that, and it's been like this for a number of games in a row, that at half time somebody in that dressing room is saying something right or getting the team fired up. Why that can't happen before the game, I don't know. But second half we came out, played a lot better. Should have had a second goal probably before we scored with Rashford in the 92nd minute. But even then, it showed that there was that desire to keep on going. And I've watched Rashford's goal quite a lot of times, and I can't decide if it's very clever delaying putting the ball in the back of the net so that everyone sort of gets out of his way, or he doesn't really know what he's doing. So
yeah,
do you know what I mean? I mean, yeah, because
yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
He could swing his foot at that ball. As a striker, you would think he would swing his foot at that ball immediately to try and catch the keeper off guard. But what he does is he doesn't swing his foot at the ball, which catches the keeper off guard, and then lets it bounce again before putting it in the back of the net. And I was like, I just don't think he actually meant it like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh on him. I don't really care. It got us the win, so I was a happy boy. But yeah, it's I don't know. What are your?
It does seem like you've kind of. My thoughts are that Martial has been a bit of a revelation. I think he's had something like 10 shots all on target this season, and he scored. And I think you're starting to click a little bit more in attack. Sanchez playing a little bit better. It's starting to work a little bit better, but defensively, I don't see it getting resolved unless there's a player signed. I don't see you.
But that shouldn't be the case. Yeah. This is what annoys me, is that shouldn't be
the
case. Oh, no,
it shouldn't be the case.
Because we had the second best defensive record last season. So nothing has changed. Nothing has changed in that back four other than Mourinho telling the players they're not good enough because he wanted to sign another centre-back. So that's only a confidence
that
issue.
Doesn't help. But you had David De Gea overachieving.
Yeah. But again, was he overachieving? That has been his norm for the 4 or 5 years since Fergie left. De Gea playing that well was the norm. Is this season the World Cup and this season, is that a below level standard? Because I'm not saying we should be. I'm not saying we should be relying on him, because we definitely shouldn't be relying on him as much as we have had to in previous seasons. But it's it's the same sort of thing with United, isn't it? We're saying this is the new United baseline. Is this De Gea just having a dip from his normal baseline? But I don't know. It's a conversation for another day, I guess. But
yeah. But yeah, another shout out to Callum Wilson. He's already reached his goal involvement tally from last year. It took 28 games to do it last year, 11 games this year. So we've got the international break coming up in a couple of weeks. We would hopefully see him in that.
I think he's got to. I think he's got to be called up. It's just if the only way Callum Wilson shouldn't get called up is if somehow they call up Glenn Murray. And they're not going to call up Glenn Murray, so it should be Callum Wilson.
There's no. He shouldn't. I don't think you should call up Glenn Murray, to be honest with you. I'm always about planning for the future of England. It's not. We don't need these short-term fixes. We're planning for the future, and Callum Wilson can be part of that for the next kind of 4 or 5 years.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. So and I agree, and I don't. Let's not dwell on this one game too much. As I say, it is a packed schedule. So I think the last thing I will say about De Gea, because you brought him up before, he made a fantastic save from Brooks towards the end of the game, just before Rashford scored. Brooks did a little sort of heel flick finish sort of thing, and De Gea got a really good hand to it, and then pounced on the ball. So yeah, I'm hoping De Gea improves, obviously, but Man United generally just need to improve, sitting 7th in the table. Behind Bournemouth.
And so yeah, we move on and we go to Cardiff-Leicester.
Yeah, a game sort of wrapped in emotion, wasn't it? I mean,
yeah, and I think it's just the result everybody kind of wanted to see. It's the right result for the moment we're in, and Leicester obviously now travel to Thailand to commemorate their chairman, and I think it was right in all senses. That I mean, if Cardiff had got a result in just pure footballing terms, it'd have been bad because we don't like Cardiff. But because of the tone, and that Damari Gray goal going in was it felt very right.
I agree. It felt very right. What was your thoughts on the Damari Gray booking for taking his shirt off? Do you think it should have been a bit lax for this one game, or do you think it's a rule?
It's funny. After we said about how the financial fair play, like if you got your rules, you got your rules. No, kind of leniency to it. I think
it's different circumstance, though, isn't it? It's a different.
It's different circumstances, but I feel like I think people know that his hands are tied in that instance. You then judging if someone takes a shirt off for someone else who's died. You allow it for all kind of people who've deceased? I don't know. You've got to just kind of be right. True. This is the rule. Otherwise, you get into murky ground.
Very true, very true. I also want to, just on a bit more of a lighter side in the game, I want to put a shout out to Sol Bamba for one of the best saves I've ever seen on the line.
That's pretty impressive.
For his handball. Did you see that?
I did see that, yeah.
How Mr. Probert didn't give it as the referee, I'm not too sure, but it was...
Well, he didn't give it because Jamie Vardy was offside. That's not a reason to give it, but if you look at through the stages, because the goalkeeper pushed forward, there was only one defender between Vardy and the goal, so it's offside. But
it wasn't.
That doesn't take away. But he didn't.
But offside wasn't given, was it? It went to a corner.
No, I'm not saying that that's why he didn't give it.
Okay,
I'm saying that the handball isn't the first offence here. The first offence would be offside.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. But I still think, what a save from Big Sol Bamba. Yeah. What a save. But yeah, I mean, anything else take your fancy in the Cardiff Foxes game? I mean, we didn't really. The main thing was it was the goal and Leicester getting a really good result and the fans all having the applause and stuff at the end of the game and staying and celebrating and.
Yeah, I thought it was really nice the way all of the staff and everything were lined up for the minute of silence around the centre circle. I thought that was a really nice touch.
Yeah, and
the fans, the staff. Yeah,
I think it shows how much of an impact he had. Like at the club and the city and everything like that with the outpouring. I mean, not to give a sort of dark example of something, but can you imagine if Malcolm Glazier died in a helicopter crash? Do you think Man United fans would be out there?
Yeah.
Or Mike Ashley or someone like that? Yeah, I mean, it shows what an effect he had, which is good. And I mean, we didn't want to dwell on it too much last week, so we won't dwell on it too much this week. But an all-round good performance from Leicester in the circumstances and a great result.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, next up we have
Everton-Brighton.
Everton, some cracking goals from Everton. Everton are doing well. It shows what a difference a balanced side can have, really, because last year they had so many number 10s, no width, no pace. You add in, you got your Theo Walcott playing well, you got Richarlison who can play wide, you got Bernard who's been playing wide, and it just suddenly looks completely different, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. And it's quite interesting. How long can Richarlison keep this up for? Because literally he's doing very, very well. He's had like one or two poor games and a red card suspension, but he's Everton's top goal scorer, if I'm not wrong, by quite some margin, and he's only 21. Is he using Everton as a springboard? Is he thinking like this is his chance?
Oh, absolutely.
Is it, or do you think it literally is just Marco Silva getting the absolute best out of him and he'll be terrible under a different manager? Because he did really well to start.
Under Marco Silva.
Marco Silva.
He's only scored Premier League goals under Marco Silva. When Javi Gracia came in, he didn't score under him.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, well, absolutely. But a player won't think like that, will he? He'll think, I'm good, I'm playing well. And it might be that he's only good under Marco Silva. A lot of players have had their purple patches under a certain manager because the system suits them, but it hasn't stopped them getting transfers to bigger clubs off the back of it.
True.
I think often players, if you're a top scorer at a club, say he ends up with season top scorer with, say he gets 20 goals, amazingly, 20 goals, and he repeats next year, gets 15 goals, he will think, I can do this at a high level. He won't think Everton is where it's at. He will push on, especially being Brazilian. I don't think many Brazilians dream of playing for Everton.
He did. He said that. He said that when he signed. He came out and said he used to wear an Everton shirt in the streets playing football, which nobody believed at all. Nobody believed it. I
loved Walter Smith's Everton. It was Duncan Ferguson is my hero. Yeah, no one said that.
Yeah.
But he's very good with his head. So yeah, I mean, hopefully he can push on for Everton fans' sake. He's been really, really good. he's added that because Everton last year I didn't really have a goal scoring threat after Lukaku had gone. Didn't really have a wide threat through kind of narrowing their side. So he's kind of offered from both, although he has played a little more centrally in recent weeks. But yeah, very impressed. That's 4 wins from the last 5 for Everton, and I mean Brighton's away form is awful. I mean, yeah, I mean we'll touch on the next team. Will recurse themselves for not getting a better result when they played them at home. With Newcastle next, and they obviously didn't beat Brighton the other week. But yeah, I think Brighton are all right.
It depends how they sort of. I always see like this sort of game against Everton is the sort of game a team like Brighton, it could capitulate their season. It could, because I mean Brighton didn't play brilliantly from what I've seen. I've only seen the highlights, but it didn't look like Brighton played all that well. And you just sort of think, is this a confidence killer for Brighton? I don't know what fixtures they've got coming up, so I can't. I'll honestly say I don't know, but it's sort of, they're not that safe. I mean, 7 points ahead of Southampton in 16th. That could quite easily be reversed at this stage in the season if they lose to teams like Burnley, Crystal Palace and West Ham coming up in the future. If they do lose to those sort of teams, then that puts them right back in the mix of relegation. So it's more of a player mentality thing, and I hope they don't get relegated because I really like Chris Hughton, but I hope it's just a little blip because they are doing well. They're up in 12th at the moment, so it's probably better than they'd ever imagined.
Yeah, no, he's doing well, man. All right, so on to Newcastle, Watford. My goodness, Newcastle finally
a win.
They get their win. Yeah.
Yeah,
it wasn't exactly straightforward though. Yeah,
no, Benitez said Newcastle showed what they can do. Is that the same as saying it was a statement? Is it a statement win?
Yeah, it pretty much is. Yeah, this is a statement win. Newcastle, I mean, they got lucky because I think Watford had their chances. Watford played well, which couldn't finish for Toffee, and so Newcastle rode their luck. But I think it's just that weight off your shoulders getting that first win, and they've got a more favourable run in coming up. So I think that it's good to get that win on the board. Yeah, and then hopefully push forward and get a few more results.
And it's the confidence of out of the relegation zone. That's the main confidence in it. The players will go into work the next day and be like, oh yeah, we're not, we're out of it now. We can build on this.
Yeah, so that win has had an impact on the table. Like we said the other week, when it doesn't have an impact on the table, it's really hard to take. And so I think there'll be maybe a few of them will be tuning into Monday Night Football when we got the big 6-pointer on Monday. We've got Fulham versus Huddersfield versus Fulham, haven't we? So that'd be interesting to see how that goes.
Which rides on our Jokanovic bet sort of thing, doesn't it? To see,
yes,
because I said he would win the game
his career's going to plan out.
But yeah, okay. So next up then is probably my game of the weekend. Probably not yours because Tottenham got a good, entertaining win, which we'll come on to later.
Oh God, yeah.
But, West Ham 4, Burnley 2, in a team which neither team really have been scoring that many goals. It was a very good game.
It was a very good game. Burnley are in trouble, aren't they? I think Burnley are shipping goals.
They are. That's the issue. Yeah, they're shipping goals massively.
Lots of high scorers because they don't really have that strong an attack. They've always been set with a very settled side, a very kind of everybody knows their role. Keep the goals out and score the odd one. But if they're conceding goals like this, they're just having to score more, and it started off so badly with the poor back pass, and you can see the frustration in the other players around him. It's not good, but I think West Ham fans will be very happy with. Well, they threw it away, really, didn't they?
Well, they did,
a couple of times, yeah.
I mean, it was a very good performance from Felipe Anderson. Probably West Ham fans would probably say his best performance in a West Ham shirt. Everything seemed to go through him, and I just want to give a big shout out to the youngster whose name I'm probably going to absolutely butcher. It was like Dienganda or something.
He played against Spurs in the midweek in the Carling Cup. Dienanga, I think it is.
Yeah, Grady Dienanga, I think it is. He just looked very, very good. A lot of young players nowadays, so full of confidence in his own ability.
He's super quick. Quick.
And you love a quick player.
I do love a quick player. Yeah, he played right wing against us. I think he had confidence in his own ability to dribble. I think he felt like he had to offload the ball when he played against us in midweek. Spurs against midweek, he showed that a few times he kind of played off a pass because he felt like he'd probably taken too long with the ball and needed to make a pass, but he could have kept on running, or he could have delayed the pass a little bit. But yeah, he looks like a real talent.
Yeah, he looked very, very good. And then obviously Javier Hernandez getting on the score sheet in the 92nd minute with a lovely little finish over Joe Hart, which is always nice to see from my point of view because I was a big fan.
Yeah, and I think West Ham fans will be pleased because he's not scored for a little while, so I think I'd be pleased to see him score there. But Arnautovic is the main man up front. Obviously, he's still carried on his kind of David Moyes form and is looking good, looking very good.
Yeah, it is. It is looking pretty good. I mean, yeah, as I said, it's my game of the weekend for entertainment. That one, I really, really enjoyed watching the highlights package back because obviously I couldn't watch it live because I was fast asleep in Singapore.
Where's your dedication?
I know. Sorry, listeners out there. Next up, then, it was probably what was classed as the biggest game of the weekend. Probably,
yeah.
Arsenal Liverpool.
I mean, it was a very good game. It was only a goal apiece, so 1-1, but it was a really enjoyable match. And first half, kind of end-to-end stuff, and Arsenal created a lot of chances. They looked dangerous. I thought it was going to be beforehand. You think it's Arsenal of old, but Arsenal are a little bit different now, and I think one of the main reasons is. That noise. I'll finish this point, but then you can go. So Lucas Torreira for me has been a revelation for Arsenal. He's been a manager came in and go, you know what, we do need a defensive midfielder. I mean, we've managed to stomach it since Gilberto Silva left, but maybe we need someone in who can actually defend in midfield. It makes Granit Xhaka look better, and Lucas Torreira has been very, very good. But similar to United, they do not have the players for the back four. They've got some weaknesses across that back four, and it gets shot up each time.
That's what the noise was about that you were referring to earlier. When I was like, yeah, it is a different Arsenal, but it's still also very much the same Arsenal. Like, I mean, this showed good character. They went behind and they kept fighting, and they, like you say, created a lot of chances. And I think Jurgen Klopp said they were a bit lucky to get a draw out of the game, Liverpool. But you know, there was another brain fart from a different goalkeeper in Leno with the cross with Milner's goal, and
I'm yet to be convinced by it.
Yeah, I mean,
he can cope better playing out with his feet, yeah, but he's got mistakes in him.
He definitely has, yeah, he definitely has. But again, yeah, like you're saying, it's the defence is all still a little bit meh, and as much as Mesut Ozil is a fantastic player going forward, the highlights show so many times where he just doesn't step to the ball. He just doesn't seem to want the work rate or show the effort to get to a ball before someone else or put in a strong enough tackle to do it. I know that's not his job and that's not what he's in the team to do, but there are situations where you've just got to dig in and take a tackle for the team and put the effort in. And I love watching Mesut Ozil play. I think he is absolutely incredible, but he just really frustrates me, and I'm not an Arsenal fan. So I dread to think what Arsenal fans think of it when it's a bit, you're up against a tough game and things like that, and he doesn't put the effort in. Or it looks like he's not putting the effort in, I should say, because he might be working very hard.
He's always up stats because he just kind of meanders around the pitch. He is a victim of his body language, I feel.
Yeah, very much so.
It's kind of the way that Messi is on the pitch. Messi stands still and sprints. Messi Ozil kind of just meanders generally. He's kind of plods around. Yeah,
exactly. As I said, I do like him as a player. So
yeah, I do as well. I much prefer Real Madrid to Ozil though. But I'll shout out to Lacazette. Did very well with his finish. Looked like a chance had gone, but yeah, he swept that in. That was very nice.
I was watching the highlights and I knew Lacazette got their goal. I didn't think that was when he scored it though, because I assumed he was going to square that across the goal to somebody else. And it suddenly made me think, if you're playing like FIFA or Pro Evo or whatever with a mate and they shot from there, you'd be like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Just square the ball.
Yeah,
it's an open goal.
True,
but it was a lovely finish, yeah. Really lovely finish. 6th goal of the season for Lacazette. So starting to hit a bit of form and settling in out front. I mean, it's pushed Aubameyang. Everyone thought Aubameyang would come up and lead the line, but it seems like Emre prefers Lacazette and Aubameyang pushing out wide a little bit. So we'll have to see how that unfolds. But yeah, interesting. And then the final game of Saturday was your beloved Spurs just about holding on.
Oh my goodness! So yeah, really. I mean, it was giving me a chance to have a really good look at Wolves, and I always like watching sides against a side I know very well. Like I said the other week when Spurs played Barcelona, it's a real good baseline for me to judge teams on. And Wolves played good football, but they create chances. They kind of their formation works quite well. They overload on the wings, and Neves and Moutinho work well in the centre of pitch, just kind of spraying balls side to side. But we didn't score. I mean, we scored some decent goals. I mean, Lamella's first was really lovely chest control, and so that was a really lovely finish. Second goal was all too easy. Trippier doing the only thing he can do well. Put a cross in, and Lucas Moura is one of the most underrated headers of the ball. He's got a lovely leap on him. You'll find Spurs often lump the ball up to him from goal kicks because people they'll put the small fullback on him, but he is very good in the air.
He's got a massive forehead. I'd expect him to be.
He's got a 5 head, so he's got a chance. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
But in that is interspersed with some chances for Wolves. And they're unlucky with a goal ruled out offside. A kind of player running through, and he was judged to be offside for a 1-2. That was unlucky. But then it all changed second half. So Juan Foyth, who was making his Premier League debut, played midweek against West Ham in the Carling Cup, played really well, and started this game really well. Just got a little bit, a little bit clumsy with his first challenge. I think Trippier didn't do too well for it and gave away with a penalty. Won. And then he got caught one-on-one with I think Johnny on the in the right fullback slot, and just takes him down. On your debut you give away one penalty. That's no one remembers that. But when you do a kind of Jonathan Woodgate levels of calamity and give away 2 penalties on your debut, that sticks with you a little bit longer.
Do you agree with Pochettino's words that he had a very good performance despite conceding the 2 penalties?
I think he did have a good performance. I think he did. It's just 2 moments of just being caught out, and I think that's more so how our back four defended. If you've got Trippier as your right back, you have to be very good as your centre back because he's defensively weak. We saw against Man City on Monday, he really was such at fault for the only goal of the match, and it's just like, oh god. Yeah. As I said earlier, his skill is putting across, and he needs to. I mean, Gareth Southgate perfectly the fact that he realised Trippier's strength is putting crosses in, so he played him as right wing back, but also played a second right back behind him to defend with having Kyle Walker in the back three. So, but I think it showed signs for Tottenham that they've grown. They aren't this kind of they aren't spineless now. That we held on. We managed the game out for the last 10 minutes. Wolves didn't really have any chances. They brought Adama Traore on. You think, oh god, but he just ran himself into a cul-de-sac and ran it off the pitch every time. So impressed that we got the result and keep it going really. Yeah,
good. I've just got some breaking news for you, Josh, which has just been announced by BBC Sport. Rooney is going to get an England farewell match, so he's basically going to get a testimonial for England against the United States at Wembley. So there you go. It's just been announced. Yeah, so it's going to be a sort of testimonial match for Rooney. 2 years after his last international game, he's getting they're calling it a farewell appearance. So yeah, he's coming out of international retirement. I suppose that still
counts as a full
It's a cap.
Oh, right, so
it's a cap. So he's officially coming out of retirement to play a farewell game.
So it's not like he gets to choose any player he wants to play in that match. He can give loads of play. He can give all his brothers caps or something.
No idea. Maybe. Who knows? But yeah, I just thought I'd break that news live on the podcast. So okay.
Wow, God, we're at the forefront of breaking news. Except we won't get this podcast out until it's not breaking news.
Exactly. Yeah, it was breaking news when it was released. Okay, when it was announced, it was breaking news, and I'm happy that.
So listeners, you know when we record this one, then.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we'll move on from there onto a very special Wiki Files this week. Now, we had chats last week about, wouldn't it be fun to do it with a manager in the Premier League? And that went from a bit of fun into an actual, full-on Wiki Files. So, I need the Wiki Files. You got the Wiki Files. I've got a Wiki File for you. Hey, there we go. So now the intro's done, and I swear I will at some point get round to doing the music because, as Josh mentioned last week, he's He can't do that. So I will eventually put music on it. But yeah, so Josh has just sent me his. So we're going to have a sort of dueling wiki manager files. We haven't really thought this through how this is going to work. But I've got Josh's now. So I will just look at it and load it up. Okay, luckily we haven't picked the same manager because that would have been quite embarrassing.
That would have been, yeah.
Josh has given me a manager. Oh, I've gone with yours. I've gone for I wanted to get as many Premier League clubs in there as possible to try and trick you.
Of course you have, Dave. You stick in your anti-foreigner bias. You love all your blooming English or British, true British man. This one, he's just managed all these clubs. So he can't. It's done.
Exactly.
Oh, dear. Right, talk us through your one then, Dave.
So you've given me a guy that started his management career in Portsmouth in 1989, then moved to Plymouth Argyle as a caretaker manager. I assume he would have got sacked from Portsmouth because you wouldn't leave you wouldn't leave Portsmouth to go be caretaker at Plymouth. Then went to Wycombe.
89, 90.
Well, maybe, yeah. Then went to Wycombe Wanderers for 2 years, from 96 to 98. Aston Villa, which is probably at that time was the biggest club in his CV, 98 to 2002. Derby County, 2002 2003. Queen's Park Rangers, 2006 2007. Then he had a 2-year break, and it all went. Oh, there was 3 years. Sorry, between Derby County and QPR, which I didn't really notice before. So he had a 3-year break there. Then he had a 2-year break and ended up in what I can only assume is Israel, because it's Maccabi Ahahi Nazareth.
Well said.
Thank you. And then moved to FC Ashdod, then FC Karat, and then he came out of the wilderness and back to English football to Crawley Town, and he's currently manager of Chennai, and I have no idea where they are.
That's India. Chennai in India, I think.
Okay, so Aston Villa and Derby. My immediate reaction with Aston Villa around then is John Gregory.
Correct.
Yes!
John Gregory.
Absolutely nailed it. Yes. And he strikes me as the sort of person that would go to China. So it just like India. Sorry. Well, a poorer level of football is what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, he strikes me as the sort of player.
He won the league, Dave. He won the league in Chennai.
Wow, good on him. Who did he have playing? Was that when they were signing like Roberto Carlos and?
No, it's beyond that. He had some very bang average players.
Okay, but
any memories for him? My memory is that he looks like a second-hand car salesman with his greasy, spiky hair.
That's not a memory. That's an insult.
That is. Yes, it's an insulting memory.
No offense to second-hand car salesmen that are listening to the podcast, but
you too could be manager of Chennai.
Yeah. I think just his memory. As I said, I remember him from Aston Villa. That's what I got from this, and it was very much a stab in the dark. So I knew it was around that time. I remember him sort of as a manager that blamed a lot of other people than himself, similar to a Mark Hughes sort of nowadays. But yeah, not too many memories really.
I think he must have been manager around Benito Carbone's time, that Derby County side. I think.
Yeah, it would have been around then. Yeah, definitely.
Branko Strupar and all that.
Because Malcolm
Christie.
Aston Villa around that time. He would have been Bosco Balaban, Juan Pablo Angel.
Yeah, he would have been. I mean, a safe one is Gareth Barry. That's got to be a long time there. So.
Yeah, true. Yeah, okay, so I've nailed your manager wiki quite quickly. What do you make of mine?
All right. Let me fire it up. Okay, right. So we have Mr. English. So we have 95-96 Norwich City, 96-97 Blackpool. So he's making quick changes. Maybe he's progressing, maybe he's regressing. 97-99 spends a couple of seasons at Stockport County. So still... is Norwich City Premier League? Maybe. Blackpool and Stockport aren't. Stoke City in 99, that is not Premier League. 2000-2004 West Brom, now that could well be Premier League. 4 years there, so he's got that's one of his longest stints. Okay, Nottingham Forest for a year. I mean, Christ, Nottingham Forest have been through their managers. Leicester City for not even a year, for a little bit of time. I don't remember that. Again, potential Premier League. Bolton Wanderers for a couple of years. Again, potential Premier League. now into Sheffield Wednesday, and then a caretaker stint at West Brom last year. I've got it. So this manager, it was a caretaker match against Spurs last year, and I thought, because I hate it when clubs change your manager just before you play them, because you're like, you have a new manager bounce against us. So that is Gary Megson.
It is Gary Megson, and if I had known that his games where West Brom caretaker was against Tottenham, I wouldn't have picked him. But I went for the. He's managed so many teams that could have been in the Premier League under his management.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
But I think maybe it's only Bolton and West Brom are Premier League. I think
it is. I think it was literally only Bolton and West Brom, the teams he actually managed in the Premier League. He was he the Great Escape? Was he one of the Great Escapes from West Brom? I know Brian Robson had one of them.
Oh, when Kieran Richardson was there.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Was it him? I can't remember. But okay, well, that was the manager wiki file. So if you enjoyed it, let us know down below, and we can do another manager one. It's quite weird because when you look at management, like, we didn't really put any restrictions on who we could pick, other than they had to have had a full-time contract in the Premier League. And I got John Gregory just because of Aston Villa around that sort of time, and you got Gary Megson, what? Because of a caretaker manager job against Spurs.
Yeah.
It's pretty weird. Like, sometimes we really struggle with players, and it's amazing that managers probably have less information, but we both got them really quickly. So, yeah, just makes my mind boggle, to be honest. But there we go. So that's the end of the wiki files. We'll move on to what's up next. Is it the Twitter poll? That's what we're going to discuss.
Twitter poll we put out, and then a couple of questions from listeners. So. Yeah, the poll kind of came up with the idea during the week. It was on the back of the news that the Copa Libertadores was going to be played between Dave's Argentinian side of choice, who are
Boca Juniors,
and River Plate. So arch rivals. River Plate. I'm more of a River Plate fan due to being a Pablo Aimar and Javier Saviola fan. So I like a bit of that.
No. It's all about Riquelme,
Delgado, Ortega.
No. You got it wrong. It's all about Boca.
Yeah, so I was intrigued because obviously I think that's got to be down as one of the biggest local derbies in football. But I thought we'd narrow it down to a Premier League, and what do people view? Obviously, we can only go on. I was going on current Premier League, the biggest local derby in the Premier League. So I put forward City and United, Spurs v Arsenal, and Liverpool Everton. So the Manchester derby, the North London derby, and the Merseyside derby, as well as other. First of all, how did you vote, Dave? What was your... do you want
to have a guess?
Your choice?
How I voted?
Well, I presume you went for Manchester derby.
Yes, I did.
And I went for North London derby. But I think the results of this poll are as follows. So it was something like 30-odd votes. So it's a reasonable sample set. So it was 38% apiece for the Merseyside and Manchester derby, 21% for the North London derby, and 3% other. I mean, I don't know... 3% from Bournemouth and Southampton, South Coast derby, Chelsea, Fulham.
Yeah, I just want to say, if you do click other when we put these polls out, please let us know down below, because it will give us a talking point. Let's leave a comment on the poll in Twitter, and it will allow us to then talk about your choice and why we maybe didn't include it in the poll. But I think someone left a very good comment saying he picked Spurs Arsenal football wise, but the City and Man United game has just sort of lost a bit of its pizzazz over the years, and Liverpool are generally just too strong for Everton, so it doesn't make it very entertaining. So I think he's gone for the approach that footballing wise Arsenal and Spurs are at the similar level, so you get the best sort of game, and you get that makes it the biggest derby, which I could understand.
Absolutely, and I agree with him in that sense, because you got City United, obviously it was at its peak when Aguero, that is the peak kind of level.
Up. Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I remember that, yeah. Cheers. Yeah.
Okay. Liverpool Everton, it's never been at its peak at the highest level in the Premier League, so obviously that was peak going for the title. Liverpool Everton have kind of been knocking around. They're kind of outside the top upper echelons, and Liverpool have been in and out of it. So any kind of head-to-head when their level in competition never really mattered as much, I'd say, generally. Spurs, Arsenal, a little bit more. I mean, vying for the top 4 trophy, as it were, and we've been second and third a few times, so it mattered a little bit. there. But yeah, definitely that United City peak for me is when it was really strong.
Yeah, I mean, I think derby games in general in the UK in the Premiership, are generally, to quote Shiv, are losing a bit of pizzazz because it is a league where pretty much anybody can put up a fight against anyone with certain exceptions. But I don't know. It's never. Derby games are billed as derby games more on TV than I think most people generally worry about. I mean, the London clubs all have derbies all over the place, don't they? That's one problem.
Yeah, I think the issue is that because how globalised football's becoming, it's becoming less like fans are having what local derby means. So like I consume a lot of football via, and there's a lot of US fans in kind of the forums and communities where I'm at, and it's a little bit kind of. It is a little bit different because they kind of have to latch on to a derby rather than understand it from its core, from growing up and being in the area and things like that. So it is losing that kind of external identity, but the fans and fans who've grown up experienced it will still know of what is that kind of what matters most, and
the other thing,
work next day type thing.
Yeah, because the other argument for it is that we don't have a lot of rivalries or derbies around the world. I mean, Scotland is a prime example. Is based on other things than just location, like religion or following or political stances or things like that. So
I mean, one of my favourite derbies in the Premier League, because it is so ludicrous, is the M23 derby. This is Crystal Palace and Brighton.
that is stupid. Sorry.
Yeah. No, but it's titled the M23. Derby, but it's. I think it's I can't remember how it started, but it is a kind of big rivalry between the two. But it's kind of
ridiculous.
But I don't know. I quite enjoy how it's come about. I think there was something to do with time that they've kind of come up together and that they've kind of developed. It's kind of been in sync, and I think there's something to do with the birds, like the eagles and seagulls, and they have similar chants and things like that. And I'm not sure, but
it sounds so
if any Brighton or Palace fans are kind of are listening, let us know how you feel about this as a derby. Does it mean anything to you, or is it just completely kind of just fabricated?
True, very true. And with the poll, we've got a couple of questions as well, Josh. So if you don't mind, I'll point them to you, and you can go first. So we got Will Howes got in touch, and who is the best signing from the summer so far in the Premier League based on performances, value for money, and what they bring to the club?
So I will add. We actually added some good names here. So he mentioned David Brooks. The attacking midfielder that Bournemouth signed from
Sheffield
United this summer.
Yeah.
I think already got more goals than he got in last season, so he's been quite good for me. And also James Maddison. So two young players, I think both under 21, have made that step up to the Premier League almost seamlessly. Maddison's shown some lovely touches and lovely skill sets, play like a free kick goal maybe. So both have been good, but I went for more money involved. But I've mentioned both of them already, actually, my two players. So I would say Lucas Torreira. I think Arsenal fans will be very happy with what they got there. That there is that one position that's needed to be sorted. He's still obviously in his infancy. We're talking after kind of 10, 11 games here, which he hasn't played all of them. So, but I think he's that player. But if he continues his form, he'll be there.
Yeah. And what was the other
signing
name?
of the season? Richarlison. Richarlison is, although it cost a lot of money, he's adding goals which they missed. He's added width. He's added pace. He's been a revelation for them, really.
Okay, yeah, interesting. I mean, I think Richarlison would be up very near the top of a list for me of impactful signings in the summer. I mean, I could put Fred in there, but I just don't think he's done quite enough for Man United. That's obviously a joke. He's been awful. Well, not awful. He just hasn't had enough time to impress, and he's in a role where it doesn't really need impressing. But
he's come back into the side the last few weeks, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. He has made a bit. He's made a bit more of an impact recently. Again, a lot more money than the sense of Dave Brooks and James Maddison. I think Alisson for Liverpool has shown the world basically what a difference. Oh, obviously De Gea's done it as well, but what a difference a good goalkeeper makes. Because I watched a game. I can't remember what game it was, but they had Van Dijk was out with an injury or being rested or something before the Champions League, and they played Matip and Lovren. And now, when it was Matip, Lovren, and Karius, they were you as a team, you probably thought they're going to concede. You know, we've got a chance here to get some goals, and Alisson just seems to make everybody play better. Like this whole confidence that exudes from him in goal, and I think he's got to be up there with one of the best summer transfers. It was a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, is it kind of as expected? Really, it's.
Yeah, but it could have gone so wrong. That's the thing. It could have gone so wrong bringing in a new goalkeeper.
True.
And I think what he's brought to the whole team really makes a difference. Other than that, I probably would actually agree with James Maddison. I think James Maddison's been absolutely superb for Leicester. So, but yeah.
All right.
Okay. I mean, thank you very much for the questions, by the way. Thank you.
Well, yeah, there's one element of it. It was the best transfer of something in all major leagues. So I had a quick think about this, and there's a couple of players similar to your Alisson one. I think you can't. I think is as expected, and Ronaldo's been kind of as expected for Juve.
Yeah, I think
so.
At this moment in time, I can't say Ronaldo's been the best transfer in all the major leagues. He will be when he wins the Champions League. So. Yeah,
but the two players that sprung to mind was because obviously Dortmund playing very well at the moment, and he played against Spurs in the Champions League last year. Was Hakimi, the right back? He's on loan from Real Madrid, and he's been a real key part of Dortmund's attack and play from right back. He's got 6 assists in 7 appearances. I think he got a hat-trick of assists against Atletico actually, but yeah, he's been very good for them this year. But my signing of the season so far, Christoph Piatek.
Okay.
The Genoa centre forward, Genoa. He is just kind of blown all goals 6 out of the water. He was signed for something like 4 million from Cracovia in the summer. He missed out on the Polish World Cup squad, but he has got something like almost a goal a game in the first 10 games, 9 goals, 10 games, I think it is. And that is just absurd for the amount of money that they paid. If he had got that many goals over the whole season, you'd be like, okay, that's fair enough. You've done your job, but to actually do that in the first 10 games has just been crazy.
Yeah.
So he'll be my signing of the summer so far.
That sounds very, very good. I find it very hard to pick like a signing of the summer across all the major leagues, because obviously I struggle to keep up with a lot of the football in all the major leagues. I'm now purely. I used to be watching all sorts of football, and now it's pretty much only the Premier League when I get a chance. I mean, the stats that the guy you've just said for Genoa it sounds incredible. But I don't think I can pick one because I don't know enough anymore about the major leagues, which is really sad. It's actually very sad to think that. Yeah, I used to love watching all sorts of weird and wonderful football in the world, but yeah, who knows? Did Coutinho sign in the summer for Barcelona, or was that a while
January
ago?
Wasn't it?
Was that January? Yeah, and then they bought in.
Yeah,
Van
it was
Dijk,
a weird January, but he wasn't available to play in Champions League, was he?
That was it. Yeah, that's why I was thinking of he was signing in the summer. Yeah, so I'm going to veto my answer on that. I'm going to I'll go with Alisson. I'll just stick with Alisson. Why not? I said he was the Premier. I said he was the Premier League's signing, best signing in the summer. So why not make it the world? Why not? I'll get an answer for you next week.
Well done, Alisson.
If you remind me next week, Josh, I'll get an answer for you next week when I do a bit of stats and looking into
All right.
it. But thank you very much for the questions. Yeah, it's been very, very good. And Josh, that leads me back to a question I asked you earlier on in the podcast. Who are the 5 players that have won the Champions League, Premier League and World Cup?
So I've focused on... I narrowed it down in my head. So I went, what countries have won the World Cup since the Premier League's been, and still before the Premier League?
Yeah.
So I've got, they're either going to be Brazilian, French, Italian, Spanish or German.
Okay.
And then I thought, so what kind of clubs have won the Champions League? And obviously Barcelona had a real kind of reign over it, and Real Madrid have, so I'm thinking Spanish. So a lot of my players are Spanish, and I think and one Brazilian. Okay, so I've
Okay.
got Fernando. So I've already got Thierry Henry.
Yes, Thierry Henry is the one you have.
Yeah, and I've got 3 Spanish and a Brazilian. So I've got Fernando Torres.
No, incorrect.
Oh, I didn't win with Chelsea. Damn it, with Premier League with Chelsea. Okay, I've got Pedro.
Yes, he has won it with Chelsea and Spain.
Yeah. Yes, and what Champions League with Barcelona.
Yeah, with Barcelona. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got Gerard Piqué. I think he might have got a winner's medal with Man United.
That is correct. Champions League, Premier League with Man United in 2008, and then Spain with the World Cup.
Now, this Brazilian one I've got now is I think maybe your surprise one, because I remember him scoring a goal for Barcelona to win the Champions League against...
Yeah, you've got it. Against Arsenal.
Yeah, Belletti, yeah.
It is Giuliano Belletti. Do you know how many appearances he made when he won the World Cup with Brazil?
None.
0. He won 0 appearances and is a World Cup winner. Yes. Okay, nice. So you've got one left to get.
And what nationality is this person then, Dave?
He is French. He's won the World Cup with France. And I didn't realise, when I was going through this quiz, I didn't realise he won the Champions League, actually. And this club had won it either. So...
Oh, it's going to be old French then. It's going to be something like... he played for Marseille or something like that, is it?
Oh, you got to have a guess of the name, mate. I'm not giving you any more clues. I told you he's French.
So, I don't think Deschamps won the league with Chelsea. Desailly didn't win the league. I am going to go for...
It's all on the line.
Robert Pires?
He's gone for Robert Pires, and that is incorrect, Joshua Cole. That is incorrect. Do you want me to put you out of your misery?
Barthez.
It is Fabian Barthez. He's just got in there. Just in time. Premier League with Man United, Champions League with Marseille, and the World Cup with France. So there you go. He's nailed all 5 of them. Great work, Josh. You got there.
That's a good guy. I love that quiz, yeah.
That's why I thought I would do it as a sort of a one-off. I would have a go, because it really... I didn't get all 5. I got 3, I think. I think I missed Barthez and Belletti when I was doing it. And I thought, that'd be a good one to ask Josh. So
yeah, no, I love that quiz. Oh, I love it. Love a quiz.
Hopefully you guys in the comments got all 5 of them, but I'm pretty sure we would have had some people. If you tell me you got all 5, I will struggle to believe you. Although Josh, you got all 5. So maybe I shouldn't be such a cynic of our listeners.
Well, I only got 5 because you narrowed it down, and then with the country and the club. So I immediately thought the unlikely winners I always think of as the early ones. So I went old school France squad. I went. So you narrowed it down.
Yeah, that's very true. I will put out there that is possibly the one time on this podcast I will do Quiz Kamara. It will be going back to Josh next week. He is the quiz comptroller. That's what I'm going to call you from now on, Mr. Quiz Comptroller. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed my one-off quiz on Football Talk, the podcast. And I think, Josh, is that everything we wanted to discuss? We said it was jam-packed, and we have discussed a lot of stuff.
Yeah, no, it's. I think I'm done. So thank you very much for listening, guys. I've had fun as usual, and thank you for your thoughts, Dave. Even though you didn't manage to come up with a signing of the season so far.
Allison. I think you'll find it was Allison.
Yeah.
Eventually, yeah. So, but yeah, I will come back to that. So if you do have any questions or stuff that you want us to discuss, leave it in the comments below. Look for us out on Twitter. Josh, do the Twitter handle, because I tried to set you up for it last week and you monumentally failed, and we had radio silence for like 20 seconds. So go for it. Go for it.
You can find us on Twitter at Football Talk, but remember, there's no
A in football.
Football. I had to step in there because there's going to be radio silence from you. Oh dear.
Right, okay, there you go. Yeah, go and check us out on Twitter at Football Talk, but there's no A in football. Find us on YouTube with Football Talk. Find us on SoundCloud as well. If you search for Football Talk, we are the #1 rated Football Talk podcast that comes up. Number one. Exactly, which is really, really good. But from me, Dave, I will say thank you very much for listening and farewell. Josh?
Yes, thank you very much for listening. Farewell. Enjoy the Champions League this week and the remaining Premier League games.
Excellent. And for that, we're out. Cheers.